Hello, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of The Practice. This show is an unrehearsed look into my workflow. I'm Stuart. I'm a 3D artist, illustrator, designer, and your pal, and I'm excited to have you back again. So this week, I think we're going to be riffing on some more character design. I guess, you could characterize this week's effort as another monster. We did monsters last week, but this one is going to be very, very different. I was really inspired actually by the work of an artist named Raymond Lemstra, or Lemistra, I'm not sure exactly how that's pronounced. And he does these really crazy character designs. And they tend to have these really rich, textured sort of background or structural elements to the character. And then these really simple little, like almost cutesy but very geometric faces. So I'm gonna riff on that sort of thing. That was like super inspiring. So, what's up, Ismail? Thanks for tuning in. Glad to see the chat's working. So, I'm gonna lean into the sculpting tools quite a bit here. And I'm gonna look to get something really richly textured going on. So actually, let's copy this dude. Abhinav, hello. I'm also I'm testing a new microphone this week. Let me know if it's any better or worse. Audio hopefully is a little different. I'm not sure if it's going to be better. I hope it is. It's a higher end headphone and microphone combo, so fingers crossed there. So let's see. Sculpt, where are you? There you go. Whoops. So I think this week I'm going to try, what is it called? It's called like clay. Let's see. Technics? Sorry, not sure what your question is, Ismail. Let's see. Stamp. So definitely, I'm also going to be going for kind of like an asymmetrical, really like wacky, crazy kind of look. Wacky might not be the right word, but let's say richly textured. So tips for a Cinema 4D beginner. Learn about box modeling. Let's see, what else? I think box modeling and learning to sculpt or to model a little bit is really useful. It took me a long time to really get my head around modeling in any sort of useful way. And once I did, it really unlocked a lot of features for me. I would say, look at a lot of artists, look at a lot of 3D artists, look at a lot of tutorials. I think Grayscale Gorilla is a great place. iDesign is a great place to start. There's a ton of resources out there. Just take in lots and lots of tutorials and information. Just dive in and think about the type of stuff you want to make. I mean, there's a lot of ways to use the software. Some people are just really into texturing things and make these really awesome realistic textures, but their models aren't that great. Some people do character designs and are great with rigging. Some people do like architectural environments. There's all kinds of ways to use the software, and you could develop whole skill sets that are in the same software but are different from one another. I'm a little bit of a generalist, I'd say. I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Um, there's a lot of ways to use the program. So figure out kind of the sorts of things you want to make. Where's everyone tuning in from? It was interesting for me to hear a little bit about where everyone's joining from. I think what I'll do here is let's make a new texture so I can see some of the different layers that I'm kind of building up here. Startup. Let's just make it like a darker gray. For sure. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so if you want to do VFX, I would learn, maybe about particles, learn about, what do you call it, like compositing. Compositing is really powerful. You can, um, bring in existing footage and, put 3D objects over it. And a lot of times you can sort of light and use images to light an object based on the footage that you have, and then like add it back into the footage itself or the still image itself, and that allows you to add like 3D objects to existing footage, which is a big part of VFX. We should add some separate geometry, some kind of lumpy bits here. Whoops. right. Now we're starting to build up this texture and these, you know, loose organic forms. I want to add the face. That's amazing, Ismail. Good to hear. I love hearing that these things are useful. Oops. I try to view these things not as tutorials, but just sort of as live working sessions. I think tutorials are great when you want to learn a specific task. They're really invaluable. I've looked at lots of tutorials over my career, and I'm sure I will continue to look at tutorials and like EJ from iDesign and other artists like that are just amazing resources, and they share a lot. And there's tons and tons of really lesser known folks out there providing tutorials on specific topics. But the way I look at this is it's like I said, like a live working session, like a look into my workflow, not necessarily a tutorial. I think that hopefully you'll get something from it. So you will learn like you would in a tutorial. But it's not you wouldn't find these if you were searching for a specific topic necessarily. So yeah, these are more like live working sessions, and I think it's pretty useful and pretty interesting to see how an artist might tackle little issues that come up, because there's always more than one way to skin a cat when you're working with 3D software, especially like cinema that's so varied and has so many sort of generalist tools. So it's good to find that people it's good to hear that people find them useful. What's going on with this mouth? Swoopneb, what's up? What's up, Snoop? I just want to call you Snoop. What's the handiest tool for me in Cinema 4D? Ooh, single tool. That is a good question. Hard to answer. What do I use the most? I don't know, maybe sweeps? Using a sweep right now. Water Big, what's up? Got some routine, repeat visitors in the chat, which I love. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Good to hear from you. Yep, all of these are saved to the channel. So I stream them live, and then they are available to view whenever you want them. There's, what I think, this is episode 159. So right now there are 158 other recordings available, should you want them. So let's set up a camera. I kind of want this just to be a head-on camera. So zero that out. Right now the camera's inside the head. Then I'll just go my top view, just back it out. I do think I also want to add some kind of shoulders, just a little bit of like a bust. What's up, AB? I do not use any third-party renders. I'm kind of old school like that. There's probably some stuff I'm leaving on the table. I'm sure I could go a little faster, have slightly higher quality renderings if I did use Redshift or things like that. Well, it'll be interesting to see because Cinema 4D recently acquired Redshift, so we might see some of that functionality move into Cinema 4D's native renderer, or maybe they'll just include Redshift. But as of now, no, I just use either the physical renderer or sometimes even just the standard renderer works. You can get a lot of really good stuff done there. And the other thing is I don't have like a realistic style. I tend to be pretty minimal and fairly abstract, and it's very kind of graphic is a good way to put it. So frequently frequently I'm asked that question, and I have to say no, I don't use any third-party tools. Not at this point anyway. That's subject to change, but for now I'm happy with what I have. The thing is, it's a lot of effort to learn new things, and I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't learn new things. Hopefully, part of the reason you're tuning in now is because you like learning new things. But for me, I would mostly rather spend the time actually creating new work than like learning a new rendering engine. Now, you could probably make the argument that if I learned a more efficient rendering engine, it would free up time for me to actually like do the work. But whatever. I know there's a lot of 3D artists out there who just, they use multiple different tools, and we're using Marvelous Designer and V-Ray and all these different kinds of plugins and all kinds of stuff. And for me, I like to keep it simple and just focus on the work and make as much work as possible. But who knows? That's all subject to change. So I have a graphic tablet that I don't always use. Right now I'm just using a mouse, which works for a lot of things. Actually, as I'm sculpting, sometimes it's more useful to grab the Wacom tablet, which I use fairly frequently. I like to use that for touch-ups as well, for retouching and things like that. But I've gotten pretty handy with the mouse, so a lot of times I'll use just that. Thanks, AB. Appreciate it. I do a fair amount of cities. Actually, I had a recent freelance project. It's still kind of ongoing, so I can't say much about it. But part of it involved building out kind of a simplified city. There's a couple episodes of the practice too where I built like little towns that are kind of streamlined, lumpy sort of towns, like bubbly, smooth kind of things. I'm not sure what I should do with this guy's shoulders at this point. I think I want to keep the lighting fairly simple for this, and I think I want it to be sort of spooky, direct overhead lighting, and something that's going to highlight sort of the lumpiness of his face here. I think at this point you can probably see sort of what I'm going for is really simple, kind of cute smiley face on this this lumpy dude. It'd be a bit of a horror show if he wasn't such a cutie pie. Cool. Well, a freelance project is awesome. Congrats on that. I would discuss it with your client. See how far they want it to be. I mean, there's no right answer to that. In terms of scale, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If this is, dystopian. Oh no, I lost the chat. It's too bad. I would say if it's meant to be like this futuristic, dystopian, kind of horrible thing, then you might want to make it like really big and have a low camera angle and make it kind of depressing and really detailed. If the idea is that it's like a happy place, then maybe you want to keep it a little simple and not as overbearing looking. It all depends on the brief and what you're going for. Hope that answers your question. Oh, yeah, I should probably add some shadows. Make this look much better. Anyone noticing any improvements in the audio this week? I'm using a new headphone microphone setup, hoping that it's a little better, but who knows? Is that chat still working? Anybody there? That's too bad. Huh. I'm trying to relaunch this. Looks like I lost everybody. Well, I'm just going to keep plowing ahead. Start figuring out a color range for this guy. And precipitous drop off in viewership too. I wonder if the chat's busted. You know, the service I use to stream keeps relaunching and you know, updating their chat client. It seemed to be working really well earlier. It's too bad. It's changed. Okay, so it is working. Hello there. Thanks for tuning in. So now I'm adding a bit of a fill light here. Oh, that's not going to work, however, unless I turn on good old GI. So let's do that. I'm just going to turn the settings down just to keep it a little snappier. Look at that silhouette. That looks pretty cool. Not much of a difference there, really. Let's turn it up a little bit. There we go. So where's everyone tuning in from today? I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm pleased, I should say. In recent years, it's gotten more and more global. I guess YouTube is a fairly global viewing place, which I dig. Just making this all a little brighter. Just get a little bit more of that mid-range. Right now it's pretty much mostly darks, which is good, which is what I mostly want. I do want a lot of contrast with this simple face that's going on in the center of the figure here. I want to be able to see some of the details we're building in, so it's a little bit of a balance. And some of that we can finesse in post in Photoshop in a little bit. What a cutie pie. Hey, Santosh. Thanks for tuning in. I think it makes sense to add a little bit of variation here to some of these purple bumps. Now at this point, I'm really just kind of experimenting. Got a rough idea of what I want to make, but at this point, I'm just kind of playing around with it. Oops. Now with all these smooth forms, it might be nice to integrate some kind of sharper, pointier things just for a bit of contrast. Notice I'm also adding a new color here. Which looks pretty cool. I want to incorporate a little bit more of that. Nice. I think that luminance a bit too much. Hey Monica, thanks for tuning in again. Not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right. I hope I am. Appreciate the kind words. For those of you that may have missed the beginning of the episode, I mentioned that this piece is very much inspired by an artist called Raymond Lemstra, whose work is amazing. Does these really richly textured, kind of abstract characters. So go check them out. He's got an Instagram account. It's really dope. I'm turn this bump off because I'm not getting a lot of an effect from it, and it's giving me these little highlights here that I'm not loving. So be gone. That's a little better. Maybe too much there. I'm just making tiny little adjustments here, but with a face that's as simple as this, you really kind of want to get the details right, get the proportions right. The simpler a thing is, the more its characteristics show, its details show. You can't hide behind anything. Tweak, tweak, tweak. I guess you could say I'm a tweaker, but not in that, not in the sense that you know. Huh, this guy got off center somehow. No bueno. To ear or not to ear? That is the question. I'm to not ear, I think, is the answer. Now for me, this texture here is a little bit too uniform. So what I'm doing is I'm throwing this bump channel into, I'm adding a layer. When you click layer here, it'll automatically add whatever shader you had into this layer. So now what I can do is add another noise on top of this. And it acts a lot like layers in Photoshop do. What I can do, start adding layers on top of one another. So this should start breaking that up a little bit. So the other thing I could do is let's add another noise. Let's turn it down, go to multiply, and I'm just going to pick a totally different shape. See what this gets us. scale it up. This could be bad, it could be too much, but we're experimenting here. Let's see what we get. That's better. You can see these little dotty patterns are starting to get broken up already, which is what I want. Let's try it again. Gosh, I'm scared to do this, but I want to add a little bit of transparency to these bubbles. A bit of refraction. All right, let's see what we get here. Not much of a difference, to be honest. Let's go a little harder. Surprisingly little happening with this transparency. A little higher. Could be because there's not much behind them to see. I mean, yeah, I guess here you can see the overlapping. It's just harder to see when the colors are so dark and match so closely behind it. Huh. What I think it is, I don't think it's the reflectance that I want, or sorry, the transparency that I want. Turn that back down. Whoops. In the wrong channel here. Let's turn this back down to, say, 35. No, this one will be like, yeah, 45, 50 range. Let's call it 50 even. Go down to like 30 for this guy, 25. And I think what we need to do is add some subsurface scattering. So I do want them to have kind of like a waxy appearance. What's up, James? Thanks for tuning in. Let's go back to where we started. This is fun to go all the way back to the first rendering, just kind of play it forward. Here's the evolution. Here's the process. Whoa, that is closer to where I want it to be. See how waxy that looks? The light sort of penetrates through. That's good. I think what I need to do, first of all, on both of these guys, I'm going to turn the ray length down. That I think is, or path length, I think that's how far the light will pass through. And then I think what I need to do is just go darker on this color. Come on. That really gives us a lot of good contrast with what's happening in other parts of the model. We've got these really dark things. We've got these things that are kind of shiny and look solid, and then we've got these bumps that look kind of waxy and kind of soft. Actually, they look so cool, it kind of makes me want to put more of them around. right, I'm feeling that. Now, I think what I want to do is output a slightly larger rendering. About 1200. Whoops. Lock that ratio, 1200. And then what I think I want to do is open this up in Photoshop and start painting in a little bit of additional texture. I think we could add some more detail and some more richness by, you know, literally painting in some stuff. So let's experiment with that. I have a little more time today. I'm not going to go crazy, but I think we could add some more interest by, you know, doing a paint over in Photoshop. This guy's pretty fun. Seems to be maintaining a pretty positive attitude despite his appearance. That was pretty quick. How is it possible that a larger rendering went faster? Huh. I'll take it. All right. So now what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab my tablet. Wasn't planning on doing this, guys, so bear with me for a sec here while I plug in. Cool. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to use some brushes to paint in some noise. See that? It's a little dark, a little too apparent, but whoops. So I accidentally painted that stroke across, that streak across. What the heck? For some reason, this guy is acting badly. Plug him in, plug him out again. Okay. That's good. Now my painting technique in Photoshop is not that great. I do have this tablet, which I don't use all the time. I make use of it sometimes, but probably make use of it more. I don't have, you know, a huge set of fancy brushes and things like that. I do know the basics. You can see I'm just kind of going through and patching and picking up colors and just dropping in little bits of additional detail. I think will add to the overall richness of the piece. Sometimes, sometimes renderings and digital art can feel a little bit stiff, and you know, and really feel sort of CG. Like one way to break that up is to, you know, do some paint overs or incorporate some hand-drawn textures. Really, do stuff that isn't strictly CG. See here sort of the difference that we've made. Just dropping in a little bit more variation in color, a little bit more texture. A little bit more variation. You can see there's a lot of detail that's been added here. Get back to the original. So here's our raw rendering, which looks pretty sweet. There's something nice about adding this additional layer of detail. Add some contrast, add some interest. I really like those little green squiggly lines. It's a great texture to add throughout. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna park it there. This was really fun. Super inspired by the artist Raymond Lemstra. Go check his work out. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. It might be Lemstra or something like that. But in any case, the work is ridiculously cool. Very inspiring. I might do a series of these guys. I had so much fun making this. If you want to keep up with me and the work that I'm doing, please check me out on Instagram at DLGNCE and hit my website up at diligence.studio. I really enjoy making this. I hope that you guys find some utility in it. And if not, just had a good time kind of hanging out and listen to me babble and carry on as I create digital art. If you have any ideas about, future episodes or any additional questions, please don't hesitate to drop a comment in the comments below. Give us a like and a subscription. That'd be super appreciated. And until next week, this is Stuart saying goodbye. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.